Hey, shalom, guys. Welcome. Here we are with another session of our Hebrew directed immersion in the prophets. We are today working through the book of 1 Kings, chapter 13, and we'll be starting in verse 3. And I just have a quick note that, look, thank you, all of you who have given me feedback on how much you're learning. Several people a week I hear from who tell me, hey, look, Rabbi, I've been studying Hebrew for years and years. Oftentimes the person says like a decade. And thanks to this channel, I've had a breakthrough. And yeah, I just want to say that if that's you, please make sure to leave me a note in the comments below. Because you guys sharing this with me, it really gives me the emotional juice to push and push and push and to keep making resources. I'm working on a book right now that will help people to read through original Hebrew Bible books in kind of a format in a way that will it'll be kind of like I'm with you as we do these immersion classes, but just a book format, right? So with the training wheels and everything and the color coding and the notes and stuff. So I'm working on this. I'm working on other things. Still working on numbers. Look again. I'm looking. If you haven't read my book on Genesis, check it out, please. Usually there's a link in the description below. It's over on my Patreon page. So if I don't have the link there, you can at least go to the link below and check out my store, and you can get my book, Genesis Look Again. It's my personal translation of the book of Genesis. I did not look at any English when I made it. I did, however, look at Greek, at Aramaic, at Syriac, and at Yiddish translations from time to time to kind of assist in when sometimes it was ambiguous in the text and I wanted to see how the ancients understood it. And usually I footnote and reference that. I've got stuff from the Talmud in there. It's got a lot of comments. And a lot of people have told me that the very first verse they've gotten a lot out of it. One person said the book alone, the comments on the first verse are worth it alone. So anyway, please consider that, or if you'd like to support our ministry, we really appreciate it. And if this channel, Hebrew Literacy, which is an outgrowth of Congregation Simchat Hashem here in the Philippines, in the sunny Philippine Islands, if we've blessed you, please let us know. If we're encouraging you, let us know, because that helps me to have more drive to do more stuff to serve you guys. About every 30 positive comments, I'll get a hater. Usually it's a Noahide who's just ticked off that we have the testimony of Yeshua HaMashiach. But you don't have to believe in the Messiah to learn biblical Hebrew from us. We have Orthodox Jews who are learning along with us. We've got Baptist Christians. We've got Messianic Jews. We even have a couple of softer Muslims who are learning Hebrew on this channel, biblical Hebrew. Softer, I mean, I think they're Sufis, so they don't want to like kill all Jews, and stuff. So you don't have to be in agreement with us to be learning biblical Hebrew. We do have a channel that's our flavor of Judaism, the Bnei Israel. You're welcome to join over there. And we also have a channel that's on Telegram that's just for people interested in biblical Hebrew. But when I teach, I'm coming at it from my sectarian perspective, so I hope that doesn't offend you. That's just, I'm going to share what I feel is the truth, as everyone does. And for the haters, you have to understand, I'm not going to respond to everything you write. It's just a waste of time. I can tell when someone is just hating and they're not here to learn. And I might give you a volley or two back and forth, but if it keeps going after that and I can feel your hate coming through, imagine the emperor, yes, I can feel your hate, let your hate flow, then I'm just going to block you, But you're welcome here. Opposing perspectives are welcome for learning, but not just for wasteful argumentation until the end. And also, even if you're here to learn, I'm also not your research assistant. So sometimes I get requests, hey, Rabbi, could you please find me 5 peer-reviewed articles that state XYZ? I don't have time to do your research, okay? I am trying to serve you guys, but there's a limited number of hours in the day, and I do other things too, rather than just putting together my role of teaching stuff. So you need to keep that in mind. Read what the Talmud tractate Sanhedrin says about tasking your teachers to do stuff for you. Yeah. So I don't mean that with any kind of malice. Just want to make sure you understand. If I'm not complying, it's not that I don't want to help you with your research. It's just I don't have time to take all those requests. Okay. So please, please let the prophet Google, peace be upon him, aid you in your endeavor. Okay, so let me say a real quick bracha for you guys. Adonai Adonai ma'adir shemcha ki ratzon ki balayla hazot tishlachna et ruchacha al kol talmidai asher yesh po achshav vegam asher yesh po acher shpeta. Lord God, there is no other Lord like you. I just ask that you would send forth your Spirit on all of my students who are here now and those who are here later. Please open up their minds. Give them breakthroughs into the Holy Tongue. Give them the joy that it is to read the prophetical writings in the native language, unveiled by bias of translators or worldviews. We ask you for this great blessing by the merit of your Son, Yeshua HaMashiach. And for those of you who don't believe this way, just don't say amen, okay? The Mishnah Avot 4:6 says the wise person learns from everyone, and you certainly can learn biblical Hebrew from us, as many have done. Okay, let's get started. Verse 3. 1 Kings chapter 13, verse 3. Oops. ונתן ביום ההוא mofet, leimor. Natan, you know Natan. Natan is he gave. It's a perfect, right? And then the vav is going to change this to an imperfect. Okay. So together, Natan, he gave, becomes, and he will give. The Natan, bayom hahu, on that day, what will he give? Bayom hahu, on the day that one, and mofet. Oh, okay, wait. See, that's the problem. When you have a vav before the perfect, context tells you if it is a vav conversive or just a normal vav. And as I read forward, I see this is a normal vav. Let's make him the normal green color, shall we? Just a normal vav, okay? Venatan. So he gave. Bayom. So we've got the beit. That is an inseparable preposition. And then we have the footprint from ha left over. Of course, you know the definite article. The formula is to try to write it as a hey with batach and a dagesh in the next letter of the word, right? That is because it was an ancient hal. Hal. The ancient word was hal. Hello, Dave. How are you feeling this morning, Dave? No, not how. Hal. So here we have it. Here's the patach. And there is our dagesh. I'll just zoom in for those with the screen impaired. By the way, we should be coming at you in UHD. That's 4K high resolution. So if you have a television, a smart TV, that's a perfect way to watch along with us. Just relax in your bed or your couch and learn some Hebrew. Then atan bayom. So he gave b in that's this part here, the red part, reminding you of the red from hal, in the yom, day, ha. Okay, let's color that one in just so we have some synchronicity here. Oops. It's a nice album from Sting, isn't it? Synchronicity. Okay. In the yom, ba yom, ha the who, the he. So that's the demonstrative adjective that means that one. So we have our noun, and we have our adjective. And remember, they agree in three things: in number, in gender, and definiteness. Yom is singular masculine, and it's got a ah in front of it right here. Ah. That's from the leftover footprint from ha. So it's definite, and we have the same thing over here for who. In the day that one. So in that day. ונתן ביום ההוא, so he gave in that day a mofet. A mofet. What in the world is a mofet? Well, a mofet, it's like a wonder, like something that is not normal, right? It's like a divine act, a mofet. It can also be a curse or like a plague in certain contexts, right? But the main point of it is that it's a wonder, right? It's displaying the power of Elohim. So what happens in Egypt, that's a mofet, right? When it's dark everywhere, there's chashecha or choshech everywhere, except in Goshen, that is clearly a mofet. So the anti-missionaries will actually try to assign the meaning of mofet to the word ot, aleph, cholim, tav, which is a sign, saying, oh, it can't be that Miriam was a virgin because that prophecy, it says it's a sign, and a sign is something you can see. They're trying to take the definition of mofet and put on ot. An ot, you don't have to see. A sign, you don't have to see. We have the verse that says, Ki yom ha-Shabbat oti le'olam, b'nei u'b'nei Israel. For the Sabbath day, it is a sign forever between me and between the children of Israel, right? So what, do you see the Sabbath? Like, you're on a business trip to Tokyo, and Shabbat starts. You're not allowed to work. Do you see it? So, no. And so, of course, virginity is something not really seen, although the midwives would have seen it. So for them, it certainly would have been a sign. The midwives would have noticed, oh my gosh, she's a virgin giving birth. Just like the rabbis translate into the Jewish Greek, she's a parthenos, a virgin. Where we get the cognate Parthenon pointed out, thank you, from our Arizonan listener, one of our Arizonan listeners, Carrie. Thank you to that Jewish gal Carrie out there for pointing that out. The Parthenon was the vestal virgins. They were there, right? Okay, so continuing. And mofet is a sign, and this is one that you see. It's to demonstrate. You see it and you know, whoa, there's darkness everywhere. Right? It is a clear divine act. Okay? Leimor, saying. And you might be wondering, why the yellow? I'm kind of slowly weaning you into the system I'm going to be using for marking up stuff. So just like we use yellow for pronominal suffixes, I'm also using them for pronouns, including demonstratives. So who, that's the pronoun meaning he, or in this case that, like that one. And ze, well, this is this, right? So you can see we got some of that on here. And the blue box shows you that the word is in the construct state. So the next word's construct, and we have a lamed on the front. What is the lamed? That's right. It is an inseparable preposition. By the way, I hope the sound is coming through clear and loud. I think we've got it solved so that it's both loud and clear. No clipping anymore. Although it seems, yeah, going into the middle yellow now. I hope it's not clipping. So lamed can mean two, for, sometimes from, not from, which is Yiddish for like religiously observant, like Orthodox, etc. Leimor, saying. So we have ונתן ביום ההוא, then he gave. So he gave on that day a mofet. So he provided, might be a better way to translate that. He provided on that day a mofet. Leimor, saying, Ze ha-mofet. This is the mofet. Notice it's got the ha, and the dagesh in the next letter. Zooming in for you guys with small screens. Leimor, saying, literally to say, but, and by the way, Janine and anyone else over there in the Hebrew Literacy chat on Telegram, if you want to join us over there, you'll first land in an admin screening area, and the admins will just check you out to make sure you're kosher, because we had some problems with Islamofascists coming over, trying to gross everybody out with pornography photos and such a long time ago. Haven't had an incurrence of that since then. And so anyway, we were talking about how aleph quiesces like the yod does. Notice there's no vowel under the aleph. This is an example of such quiescence. Cover your ears if you're not a grammar nerd, okay? La la la, not listening. So what happened was we had a composite schwa under the aleph. The chatef sagol. It looks like a schwa with 3 dots next to it. And then you try to put a schwa under the inseparable preposition, but that's not allowed. Actually, maybe I'll diagram. Let me write it. I think enough of you are interested in this that I will write it out. Let me write it out. Topic indexers. Take note. This is about aleph quiescence. All right? Aleph. So if the first letter is an aleph, okay, and it's got a composite schwa under it, because gutturals cannot take vocal schwas, right? You can recognize that by this first guy. See, the first part, it looks like a schwa, right? All the composite schwas look like that. They have that there first. And then we try to attach an inseparable preposition, lamed. Well, the rule is, when you put an inseparable preposition down, you first try to put a schwa. The problem is we have a rule that says you cannot start a word with 2 schwas in a row. Okay, so usually you would do compensatory lengthening. But if the second schwa is a composite schwa, then what we do is we take the symbol, the second symbol in that composite schwa, and we're going to move it over here. Okay? All right, so just to keep these notes there, I think it might be useful for people. Let's expand over to the left. So what's going to happen this lamed is going to take the segol. Okay? He's going to copy that segol. Okay? So now we have that there, and we still have the chatef segol over here. Okay? But now the aleph says, you know what? I don't want to be a consonant anymore. I'm out of here. Okay? So we're going to have one more stage. Let's move it down here. Again, if this is too complex, don't worry. It's just for those of you, I want to feed everybody, right? At whatever level you're at. So it's okay to have something advanced like this, and then you see it again later. Just want to dispel this mystery a little bit. So then what's going to happen, Aleph, in losing its consonantal properties, he loses the vowels that were underneath, right? So there's not going to be anything here anymore. And as a result of that, we're going to get compensatory lengthening from the short vowel, the segol, that we have underneath the lamed. Look up top. This one is going to lengthen. It's going to lengthen now. So it's going to lengthen in from segol. If you look at a vowel chart, we have like short vowels, short, and then we have long, and then you'll have a class of vowel, right? So we have E class. So the E class, the short vowel for the E class, that is going to be the segol. Okay? The chatef segol is a half vowel, technically. Okay? The long version of that is a tzere. This one. So This one is this one is a. So that's what's going to happen. This up here, the because the aleph is no longer a consonant, he's going to quiesce, similarly to how a yod does when it starts the word with a schwa. So what's going to happen, he loses his vowels because he's no longer a vowel. And I shouldn't have written it like this. Let me make it clearer. It's not any old letter here. It's an aleph we're talking about. Special aleph. It looks kind of similar to the X's. I should have not done X's. Oh well. And that will cause the lengthening to tsere. And if you look, that's exactly what's happening over here. I will colorize it and then we'll zoom in. Let me maybe put black around that so it's easier to see. Okay, zooming in. So you see what we have over here? The tsere, that is the longer E-class equivalent, right? The segol lengthened to a tsere, right? As the aleph gave up the ghost and became part of the vowel, right? So it's, okay. So leimor, so we have that in the text here. That's what's happening. Leimor. The aleph has no vowels on it anymore because it's no longer a consonant. It has quiesced. It starts with the letter Q. And the concept is called quiescence. Okay. So I zoom in here again for the cell phone peeps just a little bit. Maybe that's too much. I think that's as much as we can to get most of the notes there. If you want to do a screenshot, boom, 3, 2, 1, and then here's another at the bottom for the bottom part. 3, 2, 1. Okay. Great. The similar concept is what happens with a yod. I might as well just put that down. I think this, let's be thorough since we're covering it now. So, if you have a letter, a word that starts with a yod, okay, and he has a schwa, and then we want to connect an inseparable preposition, like lamed, and you try to put the schwa there, but again, we have this problem. We have 2 schwas in a row. That's not allowed, right? Let me make some boundaries here. So what happens is, the yod, listen, we won't talk about the yod yet. I'll draw the yod and the lamed. The lamed is going to experience compensatory lengthening, and the schwa that's under it right here becomes a chirek. Okay. Okay. But then, after that, the yod is going to quiesce. It's going to lose his consonantal properties as well. And we will end up with yod, da, 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 da. Lamed, although it could have been a kaf or a beit, any inseparable preposition. We now have a long chirek here. Notice the yod no longer has a vowel because he is a vowel. He's part of the vowel. Zoom so you guys can see. So for example, Jerusalem, Yerushalayim, to Jerusalem becomes Lirushalayim. Okay? Judah, Yehuda, like Judah becomes Ki-Huda. In Judah, Bi-Huda. And so it's a very similar thing. If you understand this concept that I've explained before, then it's not that hard to get what's happening here with the aleph as well. If you don't understand any of this, or if it makes you feel some negative emotions like stress, don't worry. You don't need to understand this. You don't need to know this to understand biblical Hebrew. This is just a little bit of meat for those who are interested in that kind of stuff. Okay? All right, let's continue. ונתן ביום ההוא, so he prescribed in that day, or he gave a mofet, a wonder, like a wonder from the Lord, leimor, saying, Ze ha mofet. Pardon me, ha mofet. This is the mofet. This is the wonder. Asher, which, diber, spoke, Adonai. Hineh, behold, hamizbei'ach, ha-mizbei'ach. So we have ha, okay. The, with the dagesh, mizbeach, altar, the altar, nikra, nikra. So, kara, kof, resh, ayin, or some say kuf, resh, ayin, kara is to tear, right? Like when the high priest tore his robes. This is what he's doing. He's rending them, or like he rent his robes. Now, the nun at the beginning, this is the sign that we are dealing with the nifal here. And that's why I have that marked nif, is the nifal binyan. That's a noon, which is often passive, right? So nikra, it was rent, it was torn, right? Like it broke, it got broke. Then we have just a normal valve, and maybe I'll outline them in yellow just to make sure it's visible. And nishpach, shafach means to pour, shafach, to pour, right? The noon again indicates the nifal. So was poured, and was poured. What was poured? Hadeshen. Ha. The. Oops. Ah, come back. Oh, it's doing this. Hold on, give me a second. There we go. Got it. I'm learning how to trick the software to behave. The. Ha. Dagesh. Deshen. So, deshen, this is like the fatty ashes. The fatty ashes. It can also be like oil. We have a verb from this. Some of you have memorized Psalm, what is it, 23? Adonai ro'ei lo echsar. The Lord is my shepherd, I will not lack. And in there we have the verb, dishanta v'shem roshi. Right? Dishanta. You have. Dishan. You hear it? Dashan. Same root. Ta. You have dishanta v'shem roshi. V'shem roshi. With oil my head. Okay? You've anointed with oil my head. But it also can be the fatty ashes that are on top of the altar. So you have a kind of a couple things to go with there. Are there any comments or questions? If you're in the live premiere, now's a good time to ask it over in the chat. I should be there with you unless something happened with my internet or something. Okay. So let me just give a moment for that. Nothing wrong with the video. I just decided to mute and enjoy some fan for a moment. All right. Let us continue. Going back to the mapik, that's this accent sign. Hineh, behold, this is the prophet speaking. Hamizbei'ach, the altar. Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah. The altar, nikra, has split. Venishpach, and spilt out hadeshen, the fatty ashes. I want to say fatty acids. My brain is combining English and Hebrew for some reason. That's why I'm like pausing when I say ashes. Like the brain is trying to say acids. Fatty acids. Hadeshen, the fatty ashes. Asher, which, and then we have to imply probably were in English. Upon, I've upon it, upon it. And actually, I guess that's not direct speech from the prophet after all. Right? Okay, let's look through one more time. ונתן ביום ההוא mofet, and he gave or prescribed on that day, or the self same day, a mofet, a wonder. Leimor saying, Zeh ha-mofet. Okay, it is, these are going to be Vav conversives over here. Okay, fine, I'll fix it. This is the wonder, asher which diber Adonai spoke. Hineh, behold, hamizbei'ach, the altar, nikra. So he's saying it is torn, right? And it's a perfect. So this is a great example of how biblical Hebrew is not like modern Hebrew dialect in many ways. So he's saying it's already rent in two. It's already broken. Okay, nikra. That's a perfect. So in modern Hebrew, that's a past tense, right? So this is what we call the prophetical perfect. Nikra. He's saying it will happen. It is going to happen, right? Because he's saying what the sign will be. So they recognize what the mofet will be when it happens. This one is a Vav conversive. So let me adjust the color of that guy. So he's using the prophetical perfect. And now he's actually going to use actual imperfect to make sure, okay, with the Hebrew parallelism. Then nishpach. Nishpach is it was spilled. Then nishpach, and it will be spilled. What will be spilled? Hadeshen, the fatty ashes, meaning from the sacrifices. Asher, which, upon, alaiv, upon it, upon him. I will be literal and write him. Okay. I think it's better to introduce it to you guys literally. One of the haters said a few months ago, "Why are you saying like him?" And I said, "Look, I don't have to translate it that way. I could translate it much more fluidly, but I want people to have the hyperliteral because usually it's better to start training your mind to think in this way. That way, when you see it in the Hebrew, it'll be more natural." Okay. Now that was just one verse, but it seemed that it took a while. I did explain quite a few things. Let me look at how long the next verse is. Ooh, kind of big. Let me look if it's complex. Okay, you know what I think I'll do? Hmm. Yeah, I lost track of time. I'm not sure how long I've been recording. Okay, I think what I'm going to do, since I don't really know how long I've been recording, I think I will go through the next verse, but at a faster pace for those of you who are more advanced. And maybe we won't. Oh, okay, sorry, that was muted. Ooh, I hope I wasn't muted in recording before. We'll see. Oi. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm going to stop this, and if it's too short, I'll make one for verse 4 back to back. I need to check if there's audio there. Shalom, shalom.